Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of PowerApps for business users and consultants. In this episode, we will talk about everyday PowerApps formulas you would need to build your app. Coming up right after the intro. So this is episode 3 and we'll be learning about everyday formulas you need to build a Power App. I thought this is important before we move on to episode 4, which is building your own Power App. All these formulas are also available on my blog, most of them for sure. There might be a few new here, but most of them are there. I'll provide a link in the description so you can check it out. But let's begin with the first one. So throughout this video, I'll be switching between my presentation or PowerPoint and Power Apps. So first one is actually defaulting a lookup in the next screen, and that based on the record you have created in the previous screen. So an example of this could be you want somebody to enter their contact details first in screen 1, and then when they submit it, they will reach to screen 2, wherein they would enter their company details, so basically creating an account. And we default the primary contact there on the account form because this person has already entered their contact details, so we don't want them to enter it again or select it for that matter. So for that ease, this formula is really useful. You can read the formula on my screen. I'm going to Power Apps now. This is my contact form. Please do not judge the form that it looks so cluttered and whatnot. It's just to demonstrate. I've added so many buttons and I've not done any screen background or logos, etc. But it will solve the purpose. So let's look at what I'm talking about. So this is my contact create form. I'll enter some details here. And then I'll submit it. So I'll use this button here because this is the button which takes me to the account create form. So click here. While it's submitting, you can see my primary contact is auto-populated. Now I can just type the name of the account and save it from here. So that's what the usage of Formula 1 is. Now we'll go back to here, go to the PowerPoint. Number 2 is setting up a lookup with required display field, and number 3 is setting up a lookup with required search field. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, when you click on a lookup field, you see the list of contacts. So let's take an example, primary contact lookup on the account form. If we click on that, we will see the list of contacts available, and the list would be differentiating itself by the name of these people or contacts. Similarly, you can also type into search in a lookup field, and that's what I meant by search field. Now, there's a process to do it based on what your requirements are, or your team's requirements are, or your client's requirements are. If you haven't watched the requirement gathering episode yet, which is episode 2, you can check that out in the link. So going back to Power Apps, now what I was talking about is actually on account. So you see this here, you can see their names, and there's a reason behind that, how we can see it, because by default, when you add primary contact field from here, it's actually defaulted to address one city. So it's not full name. So how we do it is primary contact is part of my screen 2, which is this, and edit form 4. So the ideal way of doing it, you always rename it to in a good way so you can always identify. So This can be called account creation screen or account new form here in place of edit form. So that's entirely up to you how you want to do it. Anyway, primary contact. So that's my field and that's the data card. So that's where I click to be able to set what should be there in the display field and the search field. So you can see by default it goes to items. So it tells you that this field will allow you to choose primary contacts on this account. So basically it has got a link accounts primary contact ID. So you'll be able to see list of contacts, but you'll have to do this default, display fields. That's where you click and you can see I've selected full name here. I'm not selected, I have to manually type it. By default, it comes up as address1_city. So you'll have to change it. Similarly for search field, which was formula number 3. So there is a search field here and you can see address1_city. So if I want it to be name or phone number or email, I need to enter that here. And I'm talking about schema name. Okay. So 2 we have covered, 3 we have covered, 4. Set a lookup with multiple search fields. So this is good because here you can see address1_city. What I'll do now is add more fields to it. So I can search by, let's say, phone number or email and things like that. So what all we need to do here is comma and let's say full name, right? That's it. That's all you do. And it's done. So similarly, if you need more, you add comma. So I know email address 1 is the email ID or primary email ID for contact. So I've entered email address 1. So that's how you do search for, search with multiple fields. The formula is on your screen. You can use it. Number 5 is nested grid. So this is, I was just trying to experiment how I can do it because it would be a lot better. And if we had this feature in D365 CE or model driven app where on the main grid, I have accounts on my left, and if I hover over my accounts, I can see list of contacts related on the right hand side. It would have been great, but never mind, we've got it here. So that's your formula, and I'll show it to you here. So that's my nested grid. And you can see, so it's defaulted to Fusion 5, that's number 1. If I go here, it changes, right? So this one, the third one, doesn't have any contacts. That's why it's like that. Let's see, what about this one? No, nothing. So okay, so basically only 2 of my accounts have got some related contacts. So if I click here, I'll be able to see it. Simple as that. Let me do this and show you how I achieved it. So basically, so this is my gallery 2, and I mentioned it as gallery contacts, filtered contacts. So you can see what I've done here is filter, and this is very prompt. So when you're entering something in the formulas, the system or this PowerApps, it tries to give you hints that this might be the next thing, or these are available next items which you can include in your formulas, and that's really helpful. And if by chance you enter an incorrect formula, you'll be seeing a red cross or something like that, or in the health check as well, you'll get an error. So that's good. So I added 2 galleries, so I'll show it to you. So basically I added a blank screen, and then what I've done is insert, and then I've done a gallery. Later I removed the images from it. So I went into two galleries in the same form. One, so if I click on this one, you can see the data sources accounts, and if I click on this one, you can see the data sources contacts. So that's how I've done it. But in order to show you filtered list of contacts based on the account selected, you'll have to apply a formula, and that's the formula on my PowerPoint. You can later check it out or go to my blog and check it out. So I've said filter contacts, which is this data source, based on parent account. So I've created a new field there for, I was doing a demo or something, so I created a new field. So I did it based on that. New parent account dot name, so which I did, and then I'm clearly saying gallery account. So this one is called gallery account, and this one is called gal filtered contact. So I've said whatever is selected in gallery account, as I've said, dot selected dot account name. So basically I'm trying to say whatever is the parent account name, if that in these contacts, if that matches with the selected account name, that's why account name is here. So that's how it is getting filtered. Not too complicated, but kind of hard to explain, but I'm sure you must have understood now. So filter contacts based on the contact field, which is parent account, get its name, and if that name is equal to the account selected in this gallery, that's what we need to see here. That's the formula about. Okay, moving on to the next one. Date and time to the current date. And if you know about this one, it was so hard and always JavaScript and whatnot. Was required. In here, it's quite simple actually. So let me just quickly see the next slide, which says date time plus some time to it, or some days or some hours kind of thing. So there are two separate slides here. I will try to do it. All right. Okay. So what you do is go to the field, and in this case, because you can see there are three different components here: date, hour, minute, and that's why you cannot click here and set it to now. What you need to do is select the field. So basically click here and then select default here and say now. So basically you're trying to say that the time should be now. If you do it for, if there was a field which is just date and not time, this will work again. Right, so that's now. Now if you want to add, let's say, half hour to this, what you'll do is say plus half is 0.5 and divided by 24. Isn't it like similar to what we do in Excel? It's exactly same. So that's how you do it, and you can see the time here is 1:22 while I've done this, and it shows me 52, so it has added 30 minutes to it. Now similarly, if I do 1 hour, it will do this. So it's 1:22. You obviously cannot see the time on my screen, I think so. But so it's 1:22, it has added 1 hour here, 14:22, right? Now, if I have to add a day to a date from today, so I only need to do +1. So that changes it to 15th of September. Add a month, 30, right? So it will change it to 14th of the 10th, so which is October. So that's how you do it. Simple enough. Next one is change number of E's that can be selected in date picker. So you will have, so this one is good if you don't want like dates. So you must have seen some forms wherein the date picker is available and you can actually select 1856 there. Like you were not even there, but you can select that. So to restrict that, this is a very good formula available that you can restrict the year which your user can select. So I'll just jump to that one. So there are two together. One is number of years that can be selected in date picker. The other one is add some years to the date field. So go back here, and this one, because year is within the date, so I'll have to click here, and there I go and say start year, right? And I've said 2018, so nobody can select any year before 2018. So let me show it to you. So if I click here, what you will find here is, let me just quickly go. So January 2018, and then you see it gets grayed out. So that's what it is. And similarly, I have set the end year to 2020, I guess. So if I go to 2020, yeah, so 2020 here. So the same after December, obviously this gets grayed out, so you cannot select it. So it's like that. So, okay, so you go to the field, select the date value, change the start year to whatever you want it to be. Similarly, do it for end year. So end year, you can see I've said year today +1, so it's 2019. I've said +1, that means 2020. Now, this was part of Formula 9, so this is change number of years, I've told you that, and add years to an end date picker, so I've added +n, so +1 year. You can even do +100 here, and then you'll be able to select hundreds of years there. Now, if I didn't want it to be like this, what I'll do is I'll say 2020. So as simple as that. So you do not really need that formula if you don't want to, but you can definitely do it this way, like you did it in the start year. All right, next one. Save a form. The most common one is this one, and I'm not sure if you're already aware of this, but when I started my journey, I was like, how do I save a form? I've added a save button, it should save itself. I had like really high expectations because I come from the background of D365. You have a save button, you click and it's done. Now this one, we have to add the button and do not expect it to do anything until we have added the formula. So that's why formulas are important, and I'm doing this video for you. So what can be done is, this is the formula. So go back to presentation, you can see set button on select equals this, where n is the sequence of your form. So in here, my form is actually edit form 1, part of my first screen. So the numeric 1 here is auto-generated by the system. You can definitely change this, rename it, okay. So this button is just submitting the form. So how you do it is, there's nothing here. So you click on the button and it will default here to on select. So what do you want to do with this button? The system is asking you, and then it shows you a blank space that what do you want to do on select of this button. Why have you added it? Obviously it's like an action or a trigger. Something should be there, right? Because you're adding a button. So I want to basically save this form. In PowerApps language, you're actually submitting the form. So submit form, and then it shows you which form you want to submit. So you say edit form 1, and then you close the bracket. Now, I understand if you're not from technical background and not used to of brackets and braces and all sorts of things like semicolon. I'm not too, but this is like very common. We cannot use just one half of the bracket, so think it like that. Discount the number of open and close bracket. So since the system provided you open the bracket, you entered the name of the form, you must close it, right? So that's all this one is about. So if I click on this button, it will just save this record or this form entry, but it will not take you to any of the forms. So if we right now have to do this, let's try. So this is how it works. Okay, and if I click on this button, we will still remain on this form, and we don't want it. Usually it's not a good user experience, right? So if I click on this, you'll see it has been submitted, but you're still on the same form and all your fields have gone away. So, okay, don't want it. Okay. The next one is, I'm saying we create a record and we move to a different screen. So that's why on my screen you see, just a moment. So that's why on my screen you see multiple buttons here. So this one it submitted the form, you stayed on the same screen. This one will take me to another one. So I'll just quickly enter something here. Here. Okay, and then if I click on this, it takes me to the next form. So that's what I meant by you submitted the form and you moved on to the next screen. So the next one is save a form to create a record and show success message. So going back, using the same form, this is much easier to just press option and I enter something here. So when I click that and I click on this button, it takes me to the success screen of mine, which I've created, which is this, right? Now it has not saved because the email ID wasn't correct. So that's the success message. Now to see what I did there is click on this and you can see that I've said, so it's basically the same going to the next screen, but pointing it out towards your success screen. So you submitted the form and then you're trying to navigate to success screen. So if I go there, so that's my success screen, right? And how do you add it? You go to insert, new screen, success. Easy as that. All right. Next one. Okay, next one is camera control. So you might already know how to add a camera on the screen. Let me just go to screen one. So what you basically do is you click on insert and then you click on media and then camera. So that's how you insert camera. But what you do there to store the photo, that's the formula about. So how would you capture the photo and keep it somewhere? So adding the camera is as simple as clicking here and it will add it. Okay, screen one. So what we've done here is, if you'll see, I've done it on select. So basically if somebody clicks here, we are collecting the photo of camera one dot photo. So collect is a function and then call photo is one of my rename function. So it's basically then adding it to my collection here. So you can see under collections I've got kind of folders. So call photo is one of my collection. You might also want to use your own folder, which might be like this, collection one. So I'm saying collect in call photo. What are we collecting? The photo of camera one. So whatever is in here, that's what we're collecting. So if I click here, it will then capture it, right? And then if I go to my collections, I can see it there, right? So that's that about. So you can read the formula here, and it's simple as you'll just have to change this bit based on what folder you have got. Next one. Okay, this is kind of interesting, how we can capture the camera image which we have just clicked into the entity image. So if you're not aware, entity image is coming out of CDS or D365 CE, wherein for every record we have, we can have entity image, and this is restricted to a limited number of entities. So for example, you can have it for account, your contacts, your products, right? So that's what we are trying to achieve in this one, and I'm trying to explain the formula here, why it's like that. So it's basically saying if camera N, or whatever sequence of your camera is, so camera 1 does not have any picture, then the entity image would be parent.default. Otherwise, it's the image from, if it's blank, then it would be the image from the camera itself, camera photo itself. So I'm saying if camera does not have any picture in it, as in you haven't clicked anything yet, then entity image would take its default value, and its default value is nothing, basically it's blank. But it's mentioned as, if you go and check the formula, it's mentioned as parent.default. But if you've clicked a picture, that replaces the entity image with the clicked picture. So let's check it out. Go to screen 1, and as I said, if I click here, it captures it here. So that's my entity image. Now looking at the formula of this, so it's basically actually added from, when you click on entity image here, so you see on the left add picture, just below that is image 1, and that's where you have to set up your formula. So image 1's image equals this formula, which I've just tried to explain to you. If it's blank, if the camera photo is blank, this becomes parent.default, basically whatever is the value of entity image in this entity. And if the camera 1 image is not blank, as in we haven't clicked anything, we have clicked something, that becomes the image here, and then it's stored in your application, let's say in your D365C's contact. Cool. Next one. Okay, select a record from a grid. This, I have kind of indirectly shown it to you on my nested grids. So let me just go to nested grid. So, okay, so if you just have to select, right, which is, so this icon I've added from icons here, and then I've said on select of this, select parent. So I'm just selecting it. Okay, now if we try to do anything, it won't do, and the reason is we haven't created a screen for details of a contact form, and that's why it's not doing anything. And that's where the next formula comes in picture, that select and show it to me. So that would be this one. So if I click here, it shows me the account details, right? So going back to nested grids and showing you the formula for this. So this one says select parent and then navigate to screen 3, which is the details of account, so account form view. So that's that. So we have seen select a record from a grid, which does nothing, but it's a function, so I'm trying to tell it to you. And the next one is select, open a record from the grid, from a grid, and that's where select parent and then navigate to the relevant screen. Okay, deleting a record. Okay, this one is, I've not done it there, and I'm not sure if many people would use it, but it's a function. So what you do on your icon, you create a delete icon, whatever you like, and on select property, you need to do this. You are basically trying to match if the primary field of this select of the in the data source. So for example, if you're doing it for a contact and the contact contact is a data source, its primary field equals to the item which you have just selected in the gallery, it will delete it, right? So remove if is kind of a delete function. Next, setting up a logo on the screen. So this is quite simple. All you have to do is go to media, add image, right? Right, so I've done this. Now I can go and say, select something, which is this. I have selected it because this image is stored in my PowerApps. You can also add an image from the file. So this is how the logo would be, and then you can resize it and put it here, here, wherever you would like it to be. If you don't want it to be on the top, you can send it to back, from reorder, send to back, and it would be in the back of the field. So like in this one, so it's like that. That's that, and I think that's another slide as well, how to bring to front or send to back. So that's that. Now, after you've done that, your fields get a bit faded, but you can change the color of this field. So I can click here on color and make it white, and then I can also make it bold. Make it bold. So maybe choose the color of your choice, whatever looks better and more readable, you can do that. Next one, setting up a background image. So that's what I just told you, add an image and send it to back or bring it to front, and that's how this one is done. All right, let me quickly show you rounding an image. So what you need to do is go to a form wherever you want to add a rounded image. Go to media, images, and then on your right under properties, select an image or add a new, like from here. I have got this one, and then what I need to do is set the height and width equal. So in this case it is 320, 320. So I'm happy with that. And then I need to go to advanced and set the radius is right. So radius top left, radius top right, radius bottom left and bottom right should be equal to either height or width, so that you can see a rounded image. So I'll do, this is my image 5, I think, dot height. And then I'll copy that and paste it on all 3 of them. And here. And here. So basically that's how you round an image. The next one is hiding a field. This is quite simple. So if I have to hide this main phone number, which anyway looks like it's hidden, so let's go to some other form where you can see it better. Let's say I need to hide first name. So I click on first name and then I say visible and I say false. So basically when you have selected visible, do you want it to be visible or hidden? So true or false, true or false. So I'm saying false. When I say false, you can see it's gone. Now if I remove this and say true, that's it, right? So it would be visible. And if I say false, that makes it hidden. So that's good. Cool. This is the last one. So what we're trying to do here is default a drop-down value. And we'll go to one of our account forms, which is creating an account. I think it should be screen 3. Screen 3. No, it's not screen 3. So this is the last one where it's defaulting a drop-down value. So the formula you can see is curly braces, value, and the label of the option set, and what these two dots are colon means here, it means equal to. Value equals option set label. So that's what it is here. So let's quickly check it out. So I've got this account type. I click here and then I click on the data card value. I need to say default selected items and then this first and then value and then this competitor, right? Remember, V is capital here, right? If you put a small v, this won't work. So V should be capital. Let me show it to you, right? It won't show you any error, right? But still not working. Well, if I do a capital V, it starts working, right? So that's how it is. Well, that was the last formula. So I hope you like this video with everyday formulas which you can utilize in building your Power App. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, guys. Thank you.